She learned to arrive before the lights came on. It was easier that way. Slip into her chair while the office still smelled like cleaning solution and yesterday's coffee, before voices filled the air and eyes began to slide past her like she was a pane of glass. On the morning her life changed, the rain was tapping the windows with soft insistence, and she was already logged in, fingers hovering, waiting for the day to begin. Her name was Lina Morales, and she had mastered the art of being invisible. She was invisible in the way that came from being reliable but not loud, competent but not charismatic, always on time but never celebrated. Her emails were answered hours later, if at all. Her ideas were repeated in meetings by someone else and suddenly praised. When people needed help, they came to her desk without greeting, dropped a problem like a bag of groceries, and walked away confident it would be handled. Lina handled everything. She handled calendars that tangled like vines. She handled reports that no one wanted to write. She handled crises quietly, efficiently, without fuss. And when the workday ended, she packed her bag, wished everyone a good evening, and received smiles that didn't quite reach anyone's eyes. Her boss, Daniel Whitaker, had worked with her for 3 years and could not have told you her favorite color, whether she had siblings, or how long she dreamed of doing something more than sitting in the same gray cubicle. To him, Lina was a constant, like the printer or the coffee machine, something dependable that required no attention unless it broke. Daniel was not a cruel man. He was busy, ambitious, pulled in 1,000 directions. He ran the department with an eye on numbers and deadlines, not people's quiet struggles. He believed that talent rose on its own, that hard work spoke for itself. Lina had believed that once, too. On that particular Thursday, the office buzzed with tension. A major client presentation was scheduled for the next morning, and a last-minute change had thrown the entire team into chaos. Voices rose. Phones rang. Someone swore under their breath. Lina worked through lunch without noticing the time, adjusting slides, correcting data, smoothing out errors that could have cost the company millions. By late afternoon, her eyes burned, and her shoulders ached. She stretched in her chair and glanced at the clock. 6:47 p.m. Most people had left. A few desks still glowed with screens, islands of light in the dim office. Lina picked up her phone to send a quick message, stepping into the hallway where the signal was better. "I'm free tonight," she said softly into the phone, leaning against the cool wall. "If you still need help, I can come by after work." She smiled as she spoke, small, tired, but real. It was a smile she never wore in the office. Behind her, a door opened. Daniel Whitaker had stepped out of his office, jacket over his arm, mind racing with tomorrow's presentation. He froze when he heard her voice. Not because of the words themselves, but because of the warmth in them. The ease. It was so different from the careful, neutral tone she used at work that it stopped him cold. "I can bring dinner," Lina continued, lowering her voice. "You don't have to pretend you're okay with microwave noodles again." There was a pause, and then her smile widened. "Yeah," she said. "I know. That's what family does." Daniel stood there, unseen, something tightening unexpectedly in his chest. He realized, with a jolt of discomfort, that he had never thought about Lina's life beyond the cubicle. Family. Dinner. Need. The call ended. Lina tucked her phone away and turned, nearly colliding with him. "Oh. I'm sorry, sir," she said quickly, straightening, the smile fading into her familiar professional expression. It's fine," Daniel replied, flustered. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop." An awkward silence settled between them. "Everything ready for tomorrow?" he asked, defaulting to safe ground. "Yes," Lina said. "I emailed the final deck an hour ago. I double-checked the figures on slides 12 through 17. There was a discrepancy in the Q3 projections." Daniel blinked. He hadn't noticed the discrepancy. Or the email. "Right," he said slowly. Good work. She nodded, already stepping back toward her desk. Lina, he said, surprising himself. She paused. Thank you, he added. The words felt insufficient, thin. But they were all he had. She smiled politely and left. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Her voice replayed in his head, not the content of the conversation, but the humanity in it. The realization that she was someone who stayed late not because she loved the work, but because she cared. Someone who offered herself quietly to those who needed her, without expecting recognition. The next morning, the presentation was a success. The client was impressed. Applause rippled through the conference room. Daniel took the credit, as he always did, but this time it tasted bitter. He watched Lina from across the room as people filed out. She gathered her notes, already returning to her desk. No one stopped to congratulate her. No one thanked her for the late nights, the quiet fixes, the steady support. Something in Daniel shifted. Change did not come all at once. It came in small, deliberate choices. He started by paying attention. He noticed how often Lina's name was missing from email threads she should have been on. How her suggestions were ignored until repeated by louder voices. How she stayed late even when others left early. One afternoon, during a meeting, Lina offered a solution to a recurring workflow problem. The room hummed with indifference. That's a solid idea, Daniel said, before anyone else could speak. Let's explore that. Heads turned. Lina's eyes widened, just slightly. He asked her to lead a small project. Then another. He invited her to speak first in meetings. He listened. It wasn't enough to erase years of invisibility, but it was a start. Not everyone welcomed the change. A colleague pulled Daniel aside one day, voice tight with irritation. Why is Lina suddenly getting all this attention? He asked. She's just support staff. Daniel met his gaze steadily. She's a professional, he said. And she's been carrying more than her share for a long time. Word spread. Whispers followed. Lina felt them like a chill on her skin. She wondered if this new visibility would cost her the fragile peace she'd built by staying quiet. One evening, as she packed up to leave at a reasonable hour for once, Daniel stopped by her desk. I hope I'm not putting you in an uncomfortable position, he said carefully. I realized. I missed a lot. Lina considered him. The old instinct to downplay, to reassure, tugged at her. I just want to do my job well, she said finally. I know, Daniel replied. And I want to make sure that's seen. For the first time in years, Lina felt something dangerous bloom in her chest, hope. Challenges didn't disappear. She stumbled during her first presentation as a project lead, voice shaking, palms damp. She went home that night convinced she'd proven everyone right, that she was better off invisible. The next morning, Daniel stopped by with feedback, not gentle, not harsh, but honest. You were nervous, he said. That's okay. You were also prepared. And you knew your material. That matters. She swallowed, nodding. Don't confuse being unseen with being incapable, he added. Those words stayed with her. Weeks turned into months. Lina found her voice, slowly. She spoke up, even when her heart raced. She learned that being visible didn't mean being loud, it meant being present, being acknowledged, being allowed to grow. The day she was officially promoted, she sat alone in the conference room after everyone left, staring at the letter in her hands. Her reflection in the darkened window looked different somehow, straighter, steadier. That evening, she made another phone call as she walked down the hallway. I'm free tonight, she said, smiling. But this time, it's because I'm coming home early. Her boss passed by, caught the edge of her laughter, and smiled to himself, not because he had discovered something hidden, but because he had finally learned to see. The office lights dimmed behind her as Lina stepped into the night, no longer invisible, carrying with her the quiet certainty that being heard could change everything, and that sometimes, all it took was one moment, one overheard sentence, for someone to finally look up and notice the person who had been there all along.